It's Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, Thrift Shop, 101.7 KISS FM. Good morning. It is 7:32, and we have a special guest in the studio, and we don't have it very often where somebody has to duck when they walk into a room. But please welcome in the 7-foot-tall superstar from TNA Impact Wrestling, the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. Welcome in, man.
Hey, it's my honor. Thanks for having me, Brandon.
You, again, like I said last night at our press conference, you make me feel really small. Like, look at his arms. I know that because you did this when Crimson came in, too, and you were kind of like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe these guys are so big.
Right.
That arm is like, what, my whole leg? The heck happens here? How is this normal? I dreamed as a kid, Matt, that because I was in Dallas, right? And I wanted to be Kerry Von Erich.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see Kerry, Texas Tornado?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to be that guy, and you see how I turned out. Bald and like 5'9".
Right.
What?
Right.
Okay, 5'8", if Lori has anything to say with it.
Just called you out.
Still working on this. Last night's press conference got great coverage in the media. Of course, we were looking a few minutes ago at the Jonesboro Sun coverage. A great photo of you presenting that TNA Heavyweight Championship belt to Mayor Harold Perrin.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a big honor for both me and the company. It really was. And Mayor Perrin, most down-to-earth mayor that I've met yet. Being a college All-American, you get an opportunity to do press junket tours all across the country, and I met various mayors, and I've never met one so down to earth, so humble. And I'm not blowing smoke here. He really was. Even meeting him before we even went out there to afterwards, he's the same guy, and I could see why so many people here were so respectful of him. And what was cool about him, he shows that respect right back.
Oh yeah,
very down to earth man.
He was the guy who, when he was elected, and we had the elections this past year, nobody even wanted to run against him because nobody thought they could beat him.
Hell no. I see why. I see why.
Let's talk about Impact Wrestling at the Convocation Center. It's coming up on March the 28th, and this is a big deal for our area. This is an area that's rich in wrestling history.
Yeah.
Jonesboro had wrestling every Saturday night. Memphis had wrestling at the Mid-South Coliseum every Monday. So there are wrestling fans here. And we get to talk about these names that you guys bring. You talked about how you're bridging the gap of the different generations. Yeah. This event, this live television event on March 28th, is going to be super big. For anybody who hasn't seen Impact Wrestling live, what's the experience?
Where do you start? It's they like to compare pro wrestling to a 3-ring circus, right? Mm-hmm. You got you have the high wire act, so to speak, in our X division. You have the bearded woman in me, the giant, 7-foot-tall, 300-pound giant. You have the strong man in someone like Hernandez. You have, heavyweight champion. You have Jeff Hardy, if you will. The clowns, I don't know what you want to go with that. I won't dare call them our knockout division. But my point is we have a 5-ring circus at Impact Wrestling. We have something for everybody. We're not just an entertainment show. Every single person on our roster can actually wrestle once that bell rings. And we have very distinctually different characters as well for all fans of different shapes, sizes, and ages, and backgrounds for that matter, to get completely invested in. And that's what separates our company from any other brand, not just pro wrestling brand, but any other sports brand for that matter. And I think that's what makes us different. And Jonesboro is gonna find that out live and direct and in living color come like we said, March 28th, live on Spike TV for Impact Wrestling. So
you were a lifelong wrestling fan?
Oh my God, yeah.
Who was your favorite?
Unfortunately, I have to admit the Hulkster.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Like all of us, and it was different. How old are you?
34.
Okay, so we're about the same age. As a kid, and I have photos of me holding up the first Hulk Hogan action figure. Mm-hmm. I had the Hulk Hogan weight set. Obviously, I didn't use it very often, but I had that.
Yeah, I had that.
Did you really?
Absolutely.
Obviously, you did use it.
Yep.
But now I noticed last night when you walked into the press conference, you had that cape that Hulk first used actually when he came through this area. Yeah. Tell the story on that and why you have it.
Hulk, how do I say this? I hate to... No, I don't. I don't hate to make some listeners mad at Hulk here, so we're going to tell the truth, know. Hulk is a guy I grew up idolizing. I'm sure you've heard other wrestlers and other people say the same thing, but for me, it's legit. Look at the size of me. I grew up to have muscles the way I do because Hulk Hogan had them. That's the only reason. Right. I learned to lift weights because Hulk Hogan did. I wanted to be a pro wrestler because that's what Hulk Hogan did. Mm-hmm. He was my Mount Rushmore of idols. Michael Jordan, Don Mattingly, and Hulk Hogan. And so anyways, I met him on American Gladiators. Great man, great guy, loved me, talked big about me, did what he could to get me on the show even on American Gladiators. And so I was like, what a great guy. He's even a better person in real life, I figured. Comes to Impact Wrestling, makes a lot of promises, lives up to 0 of them as far as I'm concerned. Look at me. I'm a walking, talking, living, breathing giant.
Right.
I'm the only giant in TNA on Impact Wrestling.
Right.
The fact that I've not been a world champion right now is a crime. It's sad. And the fact that he's the one that takes the pen, puts it to paper, and decides who wrestles who, that's where I'm at with him, you know. And in so many words, I told him that. He didn't like what I had to say, so I started showing up on shows, on our live Impact house shows, on non-televised events, and started kicking people's faces in, interrupting matches, beating up the refs, you name it, to make a statement. The statement was heard, but apparently not heard loud enough. So I showed up to Hulk's grand opening for his little surf shop.
Yes, I heard about this.
You know, Brandon walked in. He didn't like it. First thing I saw on the wall of his memorabilia, tons of memorabilia in there. And, you know, I could have stolen a Thunder Lips robe. I could have stolen an old title belt. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to take something of his that fans might not quite remember. And I'm going to get it over. I'm going to take something of his. I'm going to make it more famous than he ever could.
Wow.
And what a way to shove it down his throat. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
So that's the story of the robe. And Hulk, if you by proxy somehow get to hear this interview, I'm still waiting for you to come get it.
Maybe that's March 28th because Hulk Hogan's here. You're going to be here.
Yep.
Hulk's going to be here. Sting is going to be here.
Yeah, Stinger. Yep.
What's it like, you know, as somebody who grew up as a wrestling fan, to walk into that dressing room?
Yeah.
It's intimidating. It has to be right off the bat, right? Because there's all these stars. And
I'm lucky that I was able to, you know, start when I started, and I was kind of thrown into the deep end when I first started. I had literally 6 months of pro wrestling experience on a show called Tough Enough.
Right.
And then thrown right into SmackDown within 6 months of learning how to first lock up to being on television, teaming with Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series.
Well, that's because of your size, because that's not normal. It just doesn't happen.
No, you're absolutely right. But it's also a burden because I wasn't trained as much as I probably should have. I didn't have enough experience at that time. I was greener than grass at the time, if you will. So I was already, I met Stone Cold, The Rock. I met all these other huge stars at that time. So once you get past that eventually, to when I started with TNA, I made sure I did one thing, and that's changing the same locker room with Sting and Kurt Angle, so I could, and Kevin Nash at the time, so I could pick their brain and listen and learn as much as I can. And I still do to this day with Sting. Sting critiques every single match or interview that I do and tries to help me brush up on my skills as much as possible.
It's awesome.
See the beard? This is Sting's idea.
Is it?
If you don't like it, blame him. Blame him if you guys don't like it.
How do you get to like have a conversation where somebody says, "Hey, Matt, I think you should grow the longest beard you can possibly get"? Like, that's not normal. The wrestling business sometimes isn't normal.
Sting's on board as far as I'm being too nice. I'm being too. He agrees. You know what I mean? Look, I mean, there's not a guy on our roster that walks into a room and draws more attention than me. I'm not being arrogant. It's a fact. And before, I wouldn't say things like that. I wouldn't think that way. I'd be very, very humble, very, very mild-mannered, if you will. And I'm sorry, that's not how you're going to be a star in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
That's not how you're going to be a heavyweight champion. So, in a nutshell, just being meaner and not caring. And he's friends with Hulk, which is the funny part here.
Yeah.
You know, they're both quote-unquote good guys, if you will, and they do the right thing. But he's also a realist and wants to see me unleash the beast a little bit.
It's funny because you talked to Matt, and I hadn't met you until we walked in and kind of prepped for the press conference.
Right.
And you know, different people that I've met over the years, and I'm like, man, Matt is so calm. He's so relaxed for somebody so big. And it kind of reminds me, and I just now had this thought as you were talking, a guy named Handsome Jimmy Valiant, you know, legendary guy.
Yeah.
He came in here, and I had a co-host at the time who was sitting there, and Jimmy's like, hey, man, it's good to see you. And he sits here, and all of a sudden the microphone comes on. Woo, Murph said that. He's the Boogie Woogie Man. And it just kind of changes when that light comes on, and it's so different. And I think that's what's neat about you is because there is this side of Matt Morgan that's so much, hey, man, here we are. I'm a spokesperson for this. I'm an advocate for this. And then, bam, when those lights hit, and when the pyro goes off, when the smoke's out there and the music hits, it's a different beast.
Absolutely. It's a switch. You have a switch. Everyone has their own. And mine's a little different because, again, I'm so big, you know what I mean? And anything I do is going to stick out more than somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
So sometimes going from zero to hero, so to speak, and if I came out and started doing the Boogie Woogie Man, like it would... it wouldn't necessarily be a pretty sight.
Mercy, Daddy.
I don't need to.
You're right.
My stuff is in my facials. It's in my eyes. It's in my demeanor. It's in my intensity. Like the way I'm looking at you right now.
Yeah, that's kind of
making me uncomfortable. I could literally take you around your neck and slam you against the wall, and you know it would happen.
Oh, wait, let me get the video.
No, let's not do that. We don't need to go viral this morning. You know, it's neat to have somebody like you in here who has the confidence that you have to know that you're going to be here and you're going to be a part of this huge brand, Impact Wrestling at the Convocation Center. Again, tickets are on sale now, tickets.astate.edu. For those of you who are thinking, man, I get paid on Friday. Get those tickets quick on Friday when that check comes in. Get those tickets because I know sometimes, I was talking to somebody last night who said, I really wanted to get these tickets, but I had to get these just to make sure I could get in. But on Friday, I'm going to buy these. That's real stuff.
You know something else, Brandon, just to touch on that real quick, and this is me as a kid talking here. To get Impact to come back here again, you're gonna want this place sold out. You're gonna want this place packed to the hilt, and we show that on Spike TV come the 28th, and I have no doubt it's gonna be a monster success.
Yeah,
and we come back again. Yeah. That's the way it works. You know what I mean? The more successful it is, which I have no doubt it will, the quicker we come back. You know what I mean? So some of the fans that aren't going to be in town or whatever, they're going to maybe get another chance at it, pending on these fans that come out and show the best backdrop, in my opinion, that we'll have on Spike TV for a very long time. I think Jonesboro is going to be one hell of a backdrop come the 28th.
So how is it when you're Matt Morgan and you're walking through an airport, or when you're Matt Morgan and somebody says, "Hey, here's your seat on the plane"? Like, how do you do that?
I always said they should put a camera on my hat when I'm walking through the airport, just to see these triple takes I get. You know what I mean? It's. Me and Kevin Nash used to talk about if somebody's a star or not. It has something to do with what's called the airport test or the shopping mall test. Do people stop and stare?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to mention names, but there's guys on our roster that can go through the airport completely undetected.
Sure.
And for whatever rhyme or reason, they're not physically as gifted, let's say, or their physical attributes don't stick out as much as being 7 foot 300 pounds. So I get that.
It's different.
But my point is, it creates some real comedy at times. Definitely, like you said, the airplane itself is not funny for me, but turning sideways and basically crawling down the aisle is not a good look. But you got to do what you got to do to get into a seat, I guess, to come to places like Jonesboro.
It's funny because we were talking about something yesterday. I don't know. We were going to go to lunch or something. And I'm like, here's the issue. If Matt goes with us, I just bought a Camaro. There's no way he can ride this thing.
No.
Like, it's tough enough for me to get in there.
Is it a T-top?
No, but Phil has one of those. We could do that.
You can just maybe like Big Bird, fit me in there and take the sunroof off. Yeah.
Anyway, man, it's great to have you in, and you're a pleasure to deal with. Obviously, it's going to be fun on the 28th. Again, tickets are on sale right now at tickets.astate.edu. Ladies and gentlemen, the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. Thank you.
My honor. Thank you.